How's it going, everybody? Asa Lewis Jr. here, founder of Make Your Mark. Before you get started, I want to kind of give you an intro into what you're going to be tuning into with this podcast and this live to YouTube channel. What we're trying to get done is we're trying to highlight people who are making a difference in the 309 in many different ways, whether, like I said, starting their own businesses. We got people who have written books, politics, organizations work with our youth, many different things, and there's some awesome things going on in here in this city. We're trying to highlight those. I'll be joined by my friend and partner, Antwaun Banks, founder of Product of the Projects. And both of our organizations work with the youth in getting them prepared for the real world and giving them skills to succeed inside and outside of the classroom. With that being said, one of the things we want to do when we get this rolling is we want to use our kids, and when they meet their goals, have them involved in this channel, whether it's introducing them, whether we go to certain businesses, having them experience those businesses, and so they'll be involved. With that being said, we both use our own funds to help our kids experience these different things, and we also accept donations. So if you're interested in donating to either Make Your Mark or Product of the Projects, that information will follow this intro video. I'm so glad you've tuned in. We will try and keep this a weekly segment and give people a chance to highlight what they're doing to make this city a better place. So thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoy this week's podcast and keep checking us out. All right, everybody. I appreciate you tuning in. This is the first official YouTube episode of Behind the Brand. I am joined by my friend and partner, Antwaun Banks, founder of Product of the Projects. And we have our first guest here, and we are at his establishment. This is Mr. Anthony Heir Sr., owner of the Heir Cigar Lounge. How's it going, my man?
Oh, I'm good. I'm really good. It's cold outside. It's Valentine's Day. But I'm doing really good. I am.
It's a beautiful thing. So, one of the things we always try to do is we always try to give people a chance to highlight what their business is, what they're doing, stuff like that. We'll get into all that at a certain point. But
for sure.
I always start with, who is Anthony Heir? Talk about who you are, where you're from, background, that whole thing, and kind of explaining who you are as a person.
Anthony Harris, father, man before anything, but a father. I take pride in being a father, a black father. Which is absolutely necessary, and this is what my establishment, the foundation of the directory of why I established the Heir Cigar Lounge was to establish and leave a legacy for my children. So the heir means the heir or the heir to the throne. Once again, to set a different trajectory and establish something that maybe hasn't been ingrained in me personally as a kid, that I could take a different route. I could do something different. But yeah, proud Peoria. I was actually born in Chicago, but raised in Peoria, Illinois. But yeah, I'm the owner. I love the city. A lot of people ask, like, why did you start here? I wouldn't want to start anywhere else. I'm glad that I decided to stay here in Peoria. I did actually live in Atlanta for about 4 years, but I decided to start my establishment here.
So we'll get into that, because I want to get into the hows and the whys, and you brought that from here. But so you're proud Peoria Public Schools 150 graduate. I always like to shout people out for doing that, right? So we're trying to show attention. Like I said, me and this man go back to freshman year of high school. We both started off at Richwoods, where he got the name for me and my brother. We call him Chicken Legs, Skinny Legs, right? So we go back. So that's my boy. But we both transferred, both finished at Peoria High School, class of 04. All of our guys are out here doing some awesome things, and that group is awesome. But talk about how you said you love the city, right? You're talking about what you wanted to do for the city. You've done coaching, you've done different things. You're trying to do things and all these different things. And obviously, our programs are built on making Peoria a better place, right? And so you're just doing that in a different way. But talk about your love of the city.
My love for the city is definitely deeply rooted in it's like, so when I decided to leave, I was right around that age where you feel like you can go out and leave the city and find something better. A lot of people leave the city and realize
Atlanta, Dallas, like we got our spots that we just go to.
A lot of those cities have the same or very similar issues that we have here. And so I relocated and I found my way right back home. Home is where the heart is, you know. Home is where your family is. You know, even if you decide to leave, you're gonna be in a city full of strangers, you know, new faces. And a lot of these circles and these people that you come in contact with really don't want any new friends.
Yep.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And new ain't always better.
No,
you have the idea like I'm gonna go here. It's gonna be just because it's different. It's gonna be better.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna be a different person. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. You have that idea that you're gonna go and you completely change your life.
Absolutely.
You are who you are.
You're right.
Yeah, but your mind state has a lot to do with it. The environment can shift and change, but you have to have the absolute mind state as you have.
Like I said, that's in you.
Yeah.
Right? And so like I said, so if you go somewhere else and you take care of business, it's because you're probably gonna take care of business anyways.
Yeah.
For sure.
But if you're here and you're blaming all your problems on Peoria or this or that, or this, and you go and you get that fresh start and you realize that you are still the same person and things ain't getting better, right? That's where we have to look at ourselves and say, hey, what do we need to change about ourselves?
Yeah.
Right? Because it's not just always your environment. There are people in Peoria who are doing amazing things.
Right. That's the thing for the one of the things for behind the podcast and the radio interview was to let other people know that we do have some successful people in our area and that it is possible.
Absolutely.
We do have some hurdles and some things we need to fix in our area that'll make it easier and better. But with that fight and that resilience, it could be another Heir Cigar Lounge.
Man, listen. So the original question is, why do I love my city so much? Because Peoria, you always hear if it plays in Peoria, you know you can do it, or you can it can be successful.
Plays in Peoria, play anywhere,
right?
Yep.
And just to hear that, even though we have some negative connotations on Peoria, the worst city for Black people and things of that nature. Okay, it you know, for some that may be the case. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I love my city because it made me the man that I am. You know.
Yes.
You know the journey. You know, the journey in the past, like you said, some of the adversity that I had to face with being in corporate America for 14 years, my journey, and even like my upbringing. You know what I'm saying? It was instilled in me at a very young age. Like, you got to get out and hustle. Whatever your hustle is, get out and hustle. I remember me and my cousin Phil. We used to go to Newman Golf Course, and I know you're very familiar with Newman Golf Course, right? And we used to find little hustles. Like, we used to collect cans. We used to go to Newman Golf Course, right? And we used to go into that wooded area. We used to collect golf balls. Really? We used to sell the golf balls back to the golfers.
Did you really?
Absolutely. Entrepreneurship at a very young age.
So that's what we've talked about this, and we had our podcast earlier. The idea of nature versus nurture.
Right.
Like, is it can you change, or are you just who you are? So even that description right there, that shows you like that he has always had that mindset that no matter what it is, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it to be the best, and I'm always chasing that next idea. And it's not necessarily always about the money. Like everybody wants to make money, do these things, but he's like, I'm going to do something that I love. I'm going to keep keep going until I do that. So, talk about some of the things that like you've always been this way. You've always been the idea. I'm just going to always keep going forward.
I've always had the. I think it's come from sports, work ethic, knowing if you put your all into something. You might not always get the result that you're expecting, but you put your all into something, you're 90% of the time is going to have a positive outcome. So I've always had that drive, that ambition to want to strive. And if it's me being a manager when I used to work in corporate, me being a manager, I'm a service to my employees, right? So I'm always, regardless of how I feel about the company, I'm your manager. I'm going to do the best as I can to make sure that I'm managing you the proper way and that I'm providing you with the tools so you can be successful. Yeah. So from that, coaching, once you take on these responsibilities as a coach, you're more than just out on the field. And we know that, right? You go home with these kids. You know what I'm saying? You take these kids home with you. And a lot of the different personalities that you come in contact with, all this, and so I said all that to say, like the path that I've taken, it's all come it's all meshing. It's all making sense.
Exactly.
Because I'm in this industry right now, I'm to service to my guests. Every time somebody walks to the door, I'm greeting them with a smile. Because once again, I don't know what type of day that they just had.
Yes.
But they've come into my establishment.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That when they didn't have to, right? I'm greeting them with a smile. I'm giving them the best service because once again, I'm being of service to you, and I'm gonna provide you with the best, regardless of who you are, what you look like, anything. I'm gonna provide you with the best service as possible.
Yeah. Like as we know, word of mouth is the most powerful form of advertising, so it's always great to put that best foot forward.
Yeah.
But I would love for you to just let us know, you being in the workforce and being a leader for so long, what was the breaking point that made you say, well, you had success in the corporate world. I want to know what made you step out on faith and say, well, here is the place that I want to be, and this is what I want to do.
And with that, because that's such a great question, because we all have ideas. That's why I talked to last week with Ashley. We talked about, we all have ideas, and 99.9% of us don't do anything with them.
Yeah.
Right? So what made you take that next step, say, you know what, it's time. I'm going to do something. I'm going to get out of this, and that's a great question.
And I'm gonna be completely transparent. And I love the question.
Yeah,
I love the question.
Great. I can already tell this hour ain't gonna go too fast. Go ahead.
I'm gonna be completely transparent. It's funny because before it happened, right? Mentally, I had to, because I was with this company for 14 years, right?
Right.
And you do something for 14 years, a repetitive cycle of getting up on a hamster wheel and running until it's time to clock out. You get emotionally attached to that. You take it home sometimes. You know what I mean? And so with that, before it got to the point where we severed ties, something told me, I prayed on it, and I emotionally detached myself from this company before they were able to sever ties with me. So I was terminated, right?
Yeah.
I was terminated from a company that I gave so much to, my all,
I remember
everything,
this,
right? And I don't want to go to it because that don't even
But
matter.
that's the blood, sweat, and tears of it that some young man is sitting behind a desk somewhere wondering if he should take a leap of faith for something he feels in his heart will really work. But the constraints of society and the pandemic and everything we got brings his fear. So him having a person such as me, Asa, you, and other entrepreneurs in the area, him hearing your story is something that drives him, and that's kind of like the motto what me and Asa looking for. So that's dope, right?
But you're saying that, so it doesn't sound like you took the leap of faith. It sounds like it happened for you.
It was. You
were there.
God forced me to do what He was telling me to do and whispering in my ear.
And you two are
and
both
I'm having
big time men of faith.
Absolutely,
you guys are both big. Unless you talk about that.
So
essential.
So once again, it was something that I knew I needed to do. Once again, and I knew so. Building up to that point, I didn't know it was going to happen the way that it happened, but I knew something was going to happen. Either I was going to leave or they were going to force me out the door, right?
This ain't where I'm going to finish.
I was reaching that breaking point where, like I said, I emotionally retracted from the company. So when it happened, it happened so gracefully. No anger. I walked in the office.
At peace with
I was like,
At peace.
oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Right? Yeah. And then they weren't expecting that.
Yeah. For sure.
Right?
You've been at it that long. It's not. You're never going to stop. 14 years of anything. Ain't going to stop. You know what? Cool. All right. Bye.
Yeah.
It's never going to happen.
And so with that being said, right, you go through this process after, right? So what happens after? Where does your mind go after, right? And so my mind went into back to my faith, right? This ain't happening by mistake.
Yeah.
God has something planned better for me.
Yeah.
That may sound kind of cliche for some people, but for me, I had to lean on my faith because without it, without it, I would probably be out here working, just taking the next job, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so I was like, there's something that's about to happen. I didn't know exactly what, right? And so I went and I started to do my research, started reading my books.
So I want to stop you right there because this is my favorite story to tell about him, and I'll tell about when we have the text messages and all that stuff that we've all exchanged with our group and stuff like that. But I'll never forget. So I coached football at Peoria High School, right? I've been there for a long time.
And I've been trying to convince him and our friend Pat to coach with us for a long time. Me and Aaron Montgomery, class of 04, we got a whole bunch of dudes who are coaching. I kept telling Aaron, I think Aaron would be a great coach. He's focused on attention to detail. He loves kids. He's driven in whatever he does. And he gets out there, and I say, this man is a million times better than I thought he would be. I tell Aaron, I tell Tim that, I'm like, this dude, he's more vocal than I thought he would be. He takes charge. I'm like, this is great. But I'll never forget, we are on a yellow school bus, headed to probably, I think, Champaign for a game. And so I'm on my phone, listening to my music, stuff like that. You know, Aaron's over there next to us. I'm not sure what he's doing. I look back, and Amp has his headphones in, and he has books spread all over the place. He's just going, just looking at this, looking at that, notes, right? So I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm trying to figure out this business game, trying to figure out this business stuff. And so he's in the middle we're going out to coach his freshman game that I'm sure he won because that's what we did, right? But you go down there, and he's got the books, and he was using all of his free time to find a way to do that stuff. Like he said, when he said he dove into it, that was it. And so I'll never forget that moment. I'll never forget it. Looking back, and he's got headphones, notepad here, this stuff like this on a yellow school. It's not comfortable. It's an hour and a half ride. You got kids behind us being loud, having fun, excited about the game. He's locked in. I'll never forget it. So I didn't mean to cut you off, but that shows the drive.
I'm glad you brought that up though, because I think. Speaking on comfort, I think it was necessary for me to become uncomfortable, right? I was so comfortable going to work every day, having this routine. It's easy, right?
Yeah.
I had to become uncomfortable, be separated from what I was accustomed to be reformed or change my state of mind. I had to be
kind of reinvent yourself.
Reinvent myself, right? So, like I said, I dove deep. I head first, jumping out the plane without the parachute mentality, because I knew like I couldn't sit back too long without figuring out what direction I was headed in. Right? Because my family, not only am I just living for myself, I'm living for my children.
Exactly. You can't just say I'm gonna change things.
Right.
Yeah. You can't say I'm just gonna change things because it's best for me. But like I said. You got a girl, you got kids. Like this, not just a you decision.
Not by any means. And then I'm not the type of person that's just gonna live off unemployment because that's still not enough for me.
Yeah, exactly.
And so my next step was, okay, what am I going to do? All right, I'm learning businesses, the LLC process. I'm learning the ins and out of the fundamentals of business. What do I want to do? And so the first thing that I came up with is I wanted to start a one-stop shop. I wanted to have like a community type of
so this wasn't your first idea?
This wasn't.
Okay.
I wanted to do a one-stop shop because my girlfriend, she does hair.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to create a hub, a safe zone for children to come, probably play video games, get homework tutoring, help with tutoring, but provide a safe haven for children or young adults to come and relax. Once again, almost similar to what I've created here for more adults, right? But wanted to create something that would be instrumental.
Look at that.
Look at that ass.
Look at that ass right there. Yeah, sorry. But yeah, but again, everything you thought, both of the ideas that you did have were ideas that were about servicing the community, right? Giving everybody a chance to kind of come, whether it's for kids to go to that community center and kind of decompress, kind of get away from the real world,
the realities of things. Yeah.
Same thing for adults. That's what this is. It is a place of leisure. It is a place to come and relax and kind of hang out and get away for a little bit. Like we were just here Friday night, bro. We spent 6 hours here like nothing. It was that
great
easy.
Atmosphere.
I mean, and that's what it is. We listening to the blues. We arguing about Mike and LeBron. We talk about the movies we don't watch, and it just goes so fast. But it's just such a. You come here, and you just stop thinking about all the other stuff. Like, I'm just coming here, hang out with my boys, relax, and enjoy myself. And so both of your ideas though were community oriented, just different ways.
And so with the community, what I was going to call it was. Can I even think of the name? It just slipped my mind. It's the Safe House, House One Stop Shop is what I was going to call it. And once again, I haven't completely put that rest by
100%,
right?
100%.
Even though I didn't get because what I was coming into, I wasn't getting the reception from the realtors or the business owners or the property owner is not wanting to invest. They want me to invest into their property, but not giving me to meet me halfway with the investments that I'm.
And that's what I was going to ask.
Halfway, meet me 50-50. So once again, I'm not pouring everything into your building, right? If I'm investing in your building, I'm expecting something back from you.
Yes.
I'm not going to put 100% and then eventually we can sever ties, and then your property or your business or your establishment is looking A1, where when I came in, it was looking like a hole in the wall.
Yeah,
right?
see, and that's one of the things that people don't see when you're selecting your resting place, what environment, the target market, who are you selling it to? How much of that would you say when you were deciding in between this business and this business had to do with passion?
So, because that's intimidating. Think about everything you just said.
Yeah.
It can be intimidating.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So
absolutely intimidating. So like you said, it was 100% passion, because it was either going to be that or this. It was nothing in between, right? So you put all your cards on the table, right? And so you flip them over and you look at what you're dealing with, right? So with the Safe House One Stop Shop, my cards, right, they were looking good, but I didn't have that hand that I wanted, right? So it's like continue to put all my energy into that. I prayed about it. God opened doors for me, but once again, the person that was on the other side of the door just wasn't willing to walk or walk that path with me, being the property owner or the realtor.
That's so ahead of the game to be able to say, you know what, it might not be the right time for this one.
For that,
and that's so hard to do. You put all this time into it, and then like I said, he's opening doors for you, and you look at that door, you're like, you know what?
I can walk that line. I can invest.
I
can walk it with you. Yeah. But it has to make sense too, because being in business, you also have to make money.
Trust your gut.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I could have traveled down that path, but once again, I decided to He answered my prayers for me by showing me that it's possible, but take that same energy and take it in a different direction. So I took the energy and I put it on this, and once again, I prayed about it in advance. And when those doors opened and I met this realtor for this property, from day one, meshed. Day one, the very first day I met the owner of this property, he walked up, he had a cigar in his mouth.
Oh.
I didn't even tell him what my idea was. I didn't even tell him anything.
Signs and symbols.
Right? So I prayed about both of them. I turned my cards over. I saw what I was dealing with. And once again, with that...
Looking at it. Sorry.
No, you're all good.
Part of the game.
With
part
that,
of the game.
It's just manifesting in something and just waiting to see what's going to come to fruition, right? And so when once again I traveled that road, I traveled this road, and I put everything into. I put all my cards in it. I put all my cards on the table, and then it happened, right? So when it happens, right, you're gonna do one of the two things. You're gonna backpedal, or you just gonna go forward with it.
Look,
because some people,
that's it. Some people think that's what they want, and then they get there, like, you know what? Maybe I'm not ready. Maybe that's not it.
That's scary.
It's intimidating too. It is 100%.
To see the light now, and then to be like, all right, now are you ready or are you ready?
Yeah,
you talked about it. You talked a big game, but are you ready?
And what year was this, if you don't mind me asking?
This was so I originally started putting my business plan together, saying that I wanted to start Cigar Lounge. It's funny because I have another story. Aaron Montgomery, right? We were at the time we all were Ubering at one point in time.
We was out texting each other like 2:30 in the morning. Like,
supplemental
it's busy out here. We out here. You got this, got that. He actually is a funny story. I got pulled over Ubering one time and dropping these ladies off. He picked them up from the place that I dropped them off at, and they were telling the story like we were that connected, bro. We were all doing that stuff, right? We got plenty of stories, but yeah, we were all again supplementing income to fit these ideas that we were trying to get to.
Yeah, absolutely. So me and Aaron, we were talking about bouncing ideas. Once again, it's always good to have people in your circle that is not going to allow you to become lax.
Exactly.
So, bro, I see you looking at these books, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna bounce ideas off of you because once again, I know that you want to start a community one-stop shop, But I also realized how vested you are, not only emotionally, financially, physically vested you are in this. I'm gonna bounce a few other ideas off of you and see if that's a lucrative or a possibility that you can take it in that direction. So he just was like, bro, we need somewhere that fellas can meet, a meeting place, a safe haven, leave my wife or leave my girlfriend at the house and maybe just have a relax, or even for couples.
Yep.
He was like, whatever. He's like, but he put that idea manifested it and spoke it into and he didn't say cigar lounge by any means, right?
Just a spot.
But it worked for it gave you. Sometimes you get subliminal messages and people be used as a vessel. So maybe you were going in foot forward, and here God said, "Well, okay, let me give you a little bit of tools to push you forward and where you headed. You got the owner; he's on board. You got the right plan. But let's just see what the structure may be. So tell us a little bit more about how you use his advice and where it took you from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So once again, I lived in Atlanta. For about 4 years, and the cigar culture in Atlanta is complete polar opposite of what is here.
So as you're saying that, like the cigar culture, if you don't know it, and even if you do know it, might be true. It's a rich white man's game. Right, that's how you picture. That's how you put it on TV. You see it. You see these guys doing that type of stuff. They do that.
That's the stereotypical, if the prototype that the imagery that we see on TV, right? But the fact of the matter is, like I said, I was in Atlanta for 4 years. Polar opposite, really, right? You in a metropolitan area, you probably got between 180 to 200 cigar lounges. In Peoria, this is the only cigar lounge, right? So the culture down there is huge. They got like 2 weeks dedicated to just the cigar culture. They call it Cigar Week, right? Wow. Where they got different events. They going from cigar lounge to cigar lounge. You got men in these fedora hats. They suited and booted, like, you know what I'm saying?
It's
like
a lifestyle.
It's an absolute lifestyle. And so being down there, I absolutely fell in love with the cigar culture, right? And one of my right hand men, Ishmael Lindsay. That's my man. He is like, I would consider him a cigar aficionado. Okay. This man has so much knowledge, and he loves the cigar culture as well. He actually works at a few different lounges, manages humidors down there in Atlanta. So knowing it from a bird's eye view, I had to go back down there and soak up more game. And so he took me down. He took me around to so many different lounges, and it's funny because the lounge that I loved the most, people probably would consider it a hole in the wall. But the man at the forefront of this lounge, I think he may be Vietnamese, but he's not a black man. Mm-hmm. But the man, hands down, had so much love and passion, right? The passion that you spoke of. Yeah. He probably like maybe 65 years old. All these other lounges, lively. Like, so you know what I'm saying?
It's a party. Like
it's a party.
That's the appeal, is to kind of like, hey, come here because it's fun. I'm not selling myself. I'm selling this.
Yeah. So once again, you got those very vibrant, big lounges that, chandeliers hanging from the ceiling. You got, Cam Newton's spot down in Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? All these hot spots that, that I visited. But once again, the lounge, the hole in the wall, Jay's Cigar Lounge. Once again, I fell in love again with not only the idea, but I fell in love with the culture all over again. Seeing this elderly man service his customers, and I remember somebody, I think Ishmael mentioned to me, like it was a guy in there stealing from this man. Like he'll come in, he'll steal cigars out of the humidor. Because he had a walk-in humidor. This dude comes so often, he'll just walk in, take a stick, and sit down and burn. This man has such a kind heart, he don't even say nothing to me. You know what I'm saying? He may buy a stick here and there, but this man has so much love in his heart, he'll let a person that he normally knows stealing from him, but won't even say anything. But once again, I fell in love not with the glitz and the glamour of this. I fell in love with serving my customer. I'm naturally love to service my customers. So that's where my passion lies. Serving my customer, knowing like you may have came in the door one way, but you're gonna leave on a different note. You're gonna have a whole different energy when you leave here because it's about the experience.
Yeah,
it's truly about the experience. When you come here, it's about the experience. I even mix the air and experience is the air experience.
Yeah, I got you.
I kind of mixed the two words and just jammed them together. But yeah, once again, it's about the experience.
But so you talk about this. So you had this idea. You're going back and forth, and you guys said you got different people coming to you in different ways, saying like help pushing you like to different vessels, right? The building owner coming and have a cigar in his mouth, or Aaron, the idea of a spot for somebody to hang out. So all these things are pushing, right? Yeah. You're taking those steps. You're in it. You're committed. I'm doing this. COVID-19. So right. you going to start a business. You got all these other things.
And that's why I mentioned.
There's a pandemic.
So he was asking. I originally rolled out my plan and my launch date of when I was supposed to open. So it was the end of 2019 is when I met with my business owner. With the property owner. I signed my lease at the end of 2019. I think it was like November-ish, right? And so before COVID, I'm coming in here, I'm looking at everything that I need to take care of, everything I need to invest versus furniture, my humidor. You talking about a lot of stuff you got to invest in. TVs, you got to get an electrician in here to make sure that everything's wired properly. Investing tons and tons of money, right? And then COVID hits. Wow. So, right? I was supposed to open end of February, early March, right before March Madness, right around this time of last year. COVID hits.
You got the building and everything.
I invested so much. I'm ready to go. Right? But then COVID hits. Once again.
Go ahead. Pause.
With that, if I didn't face as much adversity that I faced not only in my personal life but in corporate America, I was geared for this, bro. I'm built for this. You throw anything at me, guess what? I want that.
I'm gonna find a way.
I love adversity. I thrive. Yeah. That's when I'm
comfortable.
That's when I'm at my best. That's when bring it. Real. Whatever, like it ain't no mistake.
Your life has been building you to this point to say this is the time. You can go left or right. You say,
even though you were built for it, we all know in life that the hardship sometimes is built for you to grow to the next stage anyway.
Yes, sir.
So what did the pandemic, what challenges did it throw your way that made you get to where you are today?
You said we built for it, but that don't mean you didn't go home.
That don't mean that you didn't
go home one time and
So it made me do a few things. Knowing as a business owner, I was going to spend 90% of my time here as the business owner. I have one other associate, but spending
another 04 Lion shout out, Marq.
Yeah, Margaret. Spending 90% of my time here. What it made me do? It made me make sure that I have everything structurally. As far as it made me be more. It made me be more diligent in making sure that I have everything in place. Right? It did that. It made me spend. My children absolutely love the lounge. You know why? Not because Daddy come here and sell cigars and provide a service. Because my kids was in here every day.
They know the blood, sweat, and tears.
Every day, right? They was in here helping me paint. Go grab this, go grab that. But they seen, like you said, they know the blood, sweat, and tears that it took to actually get here. And I thank God personally for that. You know why? It's because they could have never experienced that side of it. They could have been like, all right, Daddy opened a business, but never seen what it takes to open a business.
You can tell them everything. This is yours. I did this for you. This.
But they were in here, right? They experienced that. They experienced it with me. They experienced how hard it was, right? And once again, so we talk about other things that are daunting is that financial. I poured everything in, and I'm not reaping no profit. No profit. It definitely hit me on the chin when it comes to now I got to dip into my savings because I don't want to do it. Right? And then once again, I'm not a person that's just going to sit back and suffer, and that's just not me. So I got to go get another supplemental income. You know what I'm saying? Like I got to go get I got to go get this little side. I got to go hustle to get it. You know.
But that sounds so like you just say it so matter of factly. Like it didn't do this, so I have to do this. that's rare. Like that's not a common thing for people to do that. It's like, you know what? I tried it. It didn't work out. I'm done. I'm gonna pivot and go to something else. So you just said I want to commit to it. It just doesn't. So like I said, I want to make sure you give yourself credit for that. We'll all talk about that. I'm built for this.
Yeah.
Like you are, but like that's rare.
So I think a lot of people, even when they go to start a business, their business plan isn't as so. It isn't. They got, they got money set aside to this, money set aside to that, money allocated to this, money allocated to that. A business plan should have money set aside for absolute worst case scenario, right? So when I had that money set aside for it, I was never thinking like COVID. I'm thinking about maybe my inventory spoilage, right? Mm-hmm. Because I got my humidor. Once again, it's a used humidor. I know what I need to do to get it to where it needs to be, like as far as they call it seasoning. So you bring it to the levels that it needs to be, so you can put your inventory in it. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking about maybe spoilage. Maybe I'll set maybe $5,000 to the side just in case my inventory that I put in there, because mold can actually set in the humidor, right? If you get mold in your humidor, it's a wrap for all your inventory. So you got to be very, very meticulous, making sure that it don't reach a certain level, or you can even get cigar beetles. If the temp comes very high, there are beetles. So you know how like a maggot becomes a fly, right?
Yeah.
So it's almost the same concept. There are, if it becomes too hot in your humidor, a beetle
it's like it can manifest.
It manifests itself, right? Yeah. So a beetle can tear through all your inventory. One cigar beetle can rip through the whole thing. So once again, I have money set aside maybe for spoilage for my inventory and things of that nature, but never COVID, right? So those are circumstances that I don't think as a lot of small business owners ever thought they would be able to were going to face something like this, right?
You had worst case scenario.
Social distancing, and this is supposed to be made for us to gather, have fun, and do things with as couples and single. And now you got this social distancing, masking, and all these other challenges through your way.
Right.
How did you?
You have to be innovative. You have to be innovative, right? You have to. All right. So if I can't do this, what can I do?
Yeah.
Right. So I was doing stuff outside, like of course the bar and the restaurants, they were setting up,
outdoor seating
and things of that nature. I was also doing things outside on the curbside. I was doing different events for smaller crowds, where that once again the social distancing can still be. I can still abide by the laws and the policies that were put in place, making sure everybody's safe. Sanitation is one of the biggest things for me.
Yeah.
Even like staying clean is like that. That's me in general. But I take that so serious.
Yeah.
The reason why I take it so serious is because you could come here 30 times, but I can have one person that's never been here before, and they come in here and they're like, "What is that on the floor? What is that on the wall?" Mm-hmm. And then I can ruin a possible return customer.
And Antwaun talked about earlier, word of mouth is one of the most powerful things, and negative spreads way more faster than positive. So all it takes is one mistake, and you could lose tens of hundreds of customers because like that one person said, "Hey, no, I was there, and it was A, B, C, or D."
Right. One bad review on Google or on Facebook, So I put all these things in place, right? I'm very big on integrity as well. If I don't know something, I'm not going to sell you some bull crap just to make it sound good. So a person asks me about a cigar selection that I don't know about. I'm like, I honestly don't know, but I can look into it and let you know, right? But I tried like integrity, like adversity, perseverance, all these things. This is what I structure my business.
But you talk about, like you say again, you talk about and you kind of gloss over like the struggles. Like you talk about you're innovative, right? we said you had an idea. We came in here for me and my wife's anniversary. We had people out here. We had cards, all this other stuff. You said it was dope. We should have a game night. People come out here, play cards, all this other stuff. I was outside. Had tables outside.
Nice day outside.
Bro, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
I come out here. I bring my card table out here.
We had the giant Jenga. Bro, we had the whole nine. Connect Four.
Yeah, it's a dope idea. Nobody shows.
Yeah.
So we're sitting out there. This podcast has actually started at that day because we were sitting out there and I was telling ideas. He wasn't mad. He wasn't sad. He wasn't nothing. We just sat here, chopped it up. He helped push my ideas, but one of his ideas failed.
Right.
So you talk about these things like, was there ever a point where it was like super humbling or like where you're like, you know what, maybe I might not be able to survive, like, because again, like there's times you've thrown out ideas and some of them have worked, some of them haven't. Mm-hmm. That's gotta be sometimes it's gotta be hard to say.
It sometimes can be very humbling, but I know I'm all in here, right? Mm-hmm. I'm all in here. If like you've mentioned to me once before, bro, you started at the end of June, right? If you fail, and you mentioned this to me before, if you fail, you still have achieved something that nobody has ever even decided to take a risk on, right? But for me, I'm all in, right? I'm all in. So with that, like I said, I got to be innovative. If this don't work, guess what? There's something else that's going to work, right? Yes, because at the heart of this is providing a service where, like, truly anybody can come here as long as they're of age, 21 and up. Yep. That's the law of Illinois. You can't consume.
I came here for months without drinking or smoking.
Right. Yeah. Anybody is it's truly like a all inclusive, like anybody can come, and that's what I wanted to create, something for everybody, because you'll go to a bar, right? This forces people to peel back the layers, right? Because you can go to a bar and sit on one end of the bar and sit on the other end of the bar and never have a conversation with a person. You come into these rooms, right? I got 2 different rooms. You're going to at least say hi to that person that's sitting over there, right?
And if you or me,
we've had groups of men in that room, that small room over there. We've had some of the most conversations that would never be had. Yeah. We had an ex-police officer, attorney, and Black Lives Matter through and through, right? Yep. And we sitting here having these conversations.
And Matt, and a white. So it was myself, who was very vocal in how he feels about systematic racism issues and all that. Like, I love talking about that stuff. And if you're here with me, we're going to talk about something. So it's what you want to talk about. But it was myself. There was a distiller. I think his name was, I don't want to put his name out there in case he doesn't want it, but there was a distiller, and he was a former police officer. Yep. Attorney comes in and sits, and it's late, comes in, grabs a cigar, sits down, and my friend Matt, who is just a white dude from Bartonville, right? And so, but we all sat down. We had some because the lawyer had an idea of some things he wanted to come out. So we had 2-3 hours of conversations about some of the toughest things. And I stopped the lawyer's number. We messaged each other. The other guy was in here the other day. I said hi and caught up, stuff like that. Like, it was just, but it was such a comfortable, like, it puts you at ease. It's a comfortable place that you can talk about these things. And it was fun. There was never any hard feelings. Like, we've had that. We've had a sports conversation. We've had music conversation. We had all these different things. But it brings you. But if you're here, it's close quartered to where you can still separate from people. But if you're in here, you're kind of looking the way that it's set up. You're going to see people. You're going to see them looking at you, talking, and doing these other things. It's going to not force you to have conversation, but it's built for you to have that conversation.
Absolutely.
Is that what you saw when you was when you had the vision for the atmosphere and what you wanted your? You're gonna have cigar connoisseurs. You're gonna have new guys like I was that don't know anything. Absolutely. Is that kind of like, that's a great talking base for an environment? Is that kind of what you saw in your vision?
Being in other lounges, once again, so I was establishing something, I was creating something that couldn't be compared to anything else in this city, right? Mm-hmm. So this is my baby, right? So I was so once again, when I went to Atlanta, I incorporated different things, different aspects of different lounges, but I was truly establishing this as a place, a sanctuary, a safe haven. And so, yeah, I took different ideas and incorporated different ideas from different lounges that I've had for a man, for a woman, for, whatever you are, you're going to come and you're going to feel comfortable. So I definitely took and I incorporated different things and different ideas and wanted to feel very comfortable. You sit on the couch where you're not going to have tears and rips and tears and stains on your furniture and things of that nature.
Right. You have some dangerous chairs. Like there's some recliners over on that side you can't see. The big chairs. You might be here for a minute.
Yeah, absolutely.
But one of the things, this might be a little bit tougher answer. But one of the things that I've always struggled with, I've had this conversation with you multiple times. Mm-hmm. So if you don't want to put it out there, don't. But I feel like, and I get frustrated for you when I see the support or sometimes lack of support from our community, from people, the friends and stuff like that you have. Mm-hmm. And so, also people who will be on Facebook and doing all these other things, and they'll share your posts or do these other things, which is nice. Mm-hmm. But then I'll see out at the bullpen drinking or doing that type of stuff. And you have a guy that you went to school with that has put his hard work, his blood, sweat, and tears into a thing like that. And I haven't seen you at this lounge once. And that's me being defensive of a friend.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Does it ever get frustrating when you see support or lack of support?
It can become frustrating, but at the same time, for me, I've had people bring that to my attention before. But the fact of the matter is, I feel I want everything to happen organically. If they come, they come. If they don't, they don't. Right. I'm not. It's not for the masses. It's not for everybody, right? Mm-hmm. So if you don't smoke a cigar, you're probably not gonna go out to one. Yeah. They think it's just
it's more specialized,
right?
Than just
it's like a specialized industry, right? A lot of people like me. I don't smoke cigars, but once again, it's just not for that. Exactly. That's the catalyst, that's right? That's what we come here to do, but it's just not for that. And so I think, like I said, I wanted it to happen organically for some people just to come out and see what the area is about. Come experience it, but I'm not going to force it down anybody's throat. Yeah. That's one thing about me. I never try to force anything upon anybody. If it's not for you, it's not for you. If you become intrigued, hey, the door is open if you may want to come.
Stemming off of that, I think that this is why this Behind the Brand is such a great opportunity, because there's a lot of people that don't know us here, and we might think they do, and it's a lot of people that are just ignorant to the fact of what the cigar culture stands for, what it is, and this is our opportunity to give you the platform to be able to speak upon it, and maybe you inform them, and now maybe those people will be more apt to come out and give you the success you need.
And so with that being said, I love that. That's like an alley hoop to me. The cigar culture, it's funny. The cigar culture, no matter the race, the culture is so giving, bro. Like so giving. I'll come in contact with people that just want, they'll give me their shirt off their back just because I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the actual, I don't think it's just the cigar itself. I think it's the commonality of who is intrigued or who likes to smoke cigars, right? You touched on it earlier, and I've said it before, it's not a poor man's habit. Not saying that I don't have an affordable cigar for anybody. Exactly. Yeah, because there's a price point for anybody. But if you plan on doing this on a regular basis, it can become expensive. Right? It can become expensive. But for what I have in place is I have a membership. And it's almost like with the membership, it shows me how vested you are to my establishment, right? So my members have a locker, right? Like, once again, they're so giving. The culture itself is so like, if it's just knowledge, it doesn't have to be anything it doesn't have to be anything tangible. It could be passing the knowledge, it's sharing experiences, it's just having that brotherhood and that camaraderie of, like, a lot of people just want to see me win. I've heard people tell me, like, I want to see you win.
Yeah, we want to see you win.
You know what I mean? I've had people tell me that.
That's an us thing. Yeah. Right? Because if you win, our city's doing so much better. I mean, that's what it is, and that's, like I said, that's why, again, surrounding yourself with like-minded people who say, "Hey, I want the best for everybody."
For sure,
and that makes a difference.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt.
Well, like I said, you talk about that. I mean, we've sat here, and I've had like the guy who's a distiller talked about how they do different things with how they make rum, whiskey, and all those other things, like that type of thing. People are quick to say, "Hey, I had this drink, or whatever it is. You want some of that?" And like, it's just what you get in here. The people when I've been here at least, it's been such you say the word giving, right? And that's it. But like, it's a shared experience.
It's shared,
right? So like, I'll come in with Aaron and Matt, and there was the other day we were in here 9 deep. It was me, Aaron, and Matt, and then 2 guys showed up. And there's 2 guys over there, and we doing that, and everybody's telling stories. You got conversation here, conversation there. Like, hey, keep turning this down. I'm trying to hear. They're talking about they're talking about the Robin Hood thing with the money. They're talking about money. I want to hear what they're talking about over there. And it does. It's just.
It's the atmosphere.
That's it. But like I said, it's an experience. This isn't just a place where you don't have to come here just with the intent of saying, "Hey, I'm gonna go smoke a cigar," and that's why I go to the lounge.
Right.
Yeah.
If you had a long week and you just go and relax and hang with your boys, you can do that. We got the blues. We usually got the blues music playing. Like I said, sometimes we switch up to the classic R&B. Like it's an experience, and that's what this. You talked about that. That's what you wanted, whether it was the community thing for the kids or a community type place for adults, where you kind of come and just have an experience and kind of relax and get away from the pressures and the realities that you got going on. Like when you get in here, you can kind of just let loose and relax.
The time flies by.
Say that some of the best business deals have been struck by smoking a cigar.
Oh, without a shadow, shadow of a doubt. I mean, you think of some of the most, like if you look at the pictures on my wall, some of the most prestigious or the people that you think that smoke, and the celebratory aspect of it. Like at the NBA championship, you see LeBron with a cigar in his mouth, Steph Curry.
That's it. Yep.
Right, a new kid. A lot of men pass out cigars, and that where that goes back. When you used to be able to smoke in hospitals, right? The men used to sit on this outside of the room and smoke cigars while their wife was having the baby. Right. So they may have their best friend there, like, here, smoke a cigar. Right. It's stressful, but this is the thing that's supposed to make me decompress. Right? But yeah, like I said, you think about the celebratory different things that you mentioned, babies, championship games, and things of that nature. And like I said, all the people that you can think of smoking. Man, look at all these. Winston Churchill, Bernie Mac,
JFK.
Yeah, a little bit of everybody. It goes. The list goes on and on of once again the men. So like you said, it's not just it's starting. We're starting to turn the imagery of what it once was and what it is now. I won't say every, but a lot of people use this as a thing to either celebratory, leisure, relaxation, all these things. The reason why they
talk about the community, a one-stop shop. Like I said, if you need to celebrate, it's here. If you need to relax, it's here. If you want to get kick with your boys, it's here.
Absolutely.
It's a one-stop shop.
It is.
So we're coming up on our time limit for the interview, and it's frustrating because we could have did this for another hour easy.
Absolutely.
But talk about. I've been here with the growth. Like, you've added so many things you've done with the pictures, the different furniture, stuff like that. You kind of. It's been fun to see you grow as you do it, right? Just as a friend, as a black man, as a fellow 309 resident, like, there's so many reasons to be proud of you, and so this is been an honor to do this with you, and then obviously to share with my friend and partner Antwaun Banks. But what would be like if you could have like one quick little blurb to kind of put into to wrap this up and say, hey, this is what the Heir is, or this is what I want you to get from this, or this is why you should give a shot. What would be your kind of like final parting shot?
Once again, the one thing I would say, once again, smoking isn't for everybody, and once again, I want to also establish the risks that are involved. Mouth cancer and throat cancer. You don't inhale a cigar, but nevertheless, I would just want you to know that aspect of it. But this is something that I established, once again, like you said, going through those growing pains, continue to reinvent myself. But I truly established the lounge for the common man, right? Because a lot of people think, oh, it's a blue collar, you know what I'm saying? It's the rich man. No,
this rich white man.
I established this as, like I said, a sanctuary, establishment where you can truly come. You see, I don't have no clocks on the walls.
Nope.
Not a clock in sight. And I did that intentionally because I truly want you to come here and lose track of time. I truly want you to come here and feel a sense of relief.
Just focus on being in the moment.
To alleviate whatever pressures you have outside, if it's at home, at work, wherever. I created this for that, for my guests to come in and really, truly enjoy themselves. And if it's your first or your last time, or if it's your 30th time, one thing that I truly devote myself to is customer service is A1 for me. I mean, that's at the top of my list because a lot of people think like, are they being here before? He's come, he's been, he's
used to this. Like, I'm not gonna give him as much attention.
Right, but no, every time, that's number one at the top of my list is to make sure that I'm continue. It's going to be a consistent thing that you know you're going to get every time you walk through my door. Is that I'm a service and I'm going to make sure that I'm attentive to you or the entire group. That I'm going to make sure that everybody's good. And so that is truly one thing that I would want to end on is if you haven't experienced yet, if you haven't come and put one in the air yet, I welcome you with open arms, open doors, and hope to, if you haven't, that maybe you will in the near future.
Yeah, I really, really appreciate the knowledge and what you put forth as far as a brand, because like we say, this is looked at as a different society. You kind of dumbed it down, so to speak, or made it available, and I think that's great. I think you have a great brand. I think it's dope what you got going on. Continued success. I'm a witness that I don't smoke cigars or do that, but now I am a member, and I love the environment. I think that anybody that could come out should check out Amp's Heir Lounge.
So yeah, I want to thank both of you guys. I want to thank 90.7. The guys at 90.7, and they are continuing to push the bar higher and higher, and I appreciate that in reference to politics and things of that nature, opening the lens and expanding what people maybe not, the prior knowledge that they probably haven't had in the past. And so I really appreciate 90.7, all my boys, the DJ Dynamite, Bafa, and the guys up there. I definitely appreciate that.
Well, like I said, you talk about it, man. We appreciate what you're doing, right? Like I said, you're making a difference in our community. Representation matters. A black business owner, we're trying to highlight that as much as possible, man. So we appreciate it. I love what you're doing for your family. Now your kids know the expectation is you can do and be whatever you want, and so they see it. So again, 9901 North Knoxville. He has memberships, lockers available. If you just want to stop in and try it out, if you're stopping and ask questions, he has a Facebook page, Instagram page, right?
Yep.
All those things are available to you. We will put the links in the YouTube video. After this, we're going to go and walk to the humidor, explain what he's got going on there, explain the different cigars, and we'll walk you through the different types of cigars, how to light it, the different cuts, and all those other things, just give you an idea of his expertise and go behind the brand, behind the Heir Cigar Lounge. So I appreciate you tuning into the interview. If you're listening on the radio, we thank you for tuning in. Shout out to Strictly Hip Hop 90.7 FM. Those guys have given us an awesome platform.
Great, yeah.
I appreciate you being the first official behind the brand,
Thank you,
and we hope that the continued success for everybody involved. So we appreciate you, and if you're on the YouTube channel, stay tuned. We're going to show you and go behind the brand and show you the cigar lounge.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right, we are going to take you behind the brand of the Heir Cigar Lounge. We're here with owner, founder, Anthony Heir Sr. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to show you, kind of take you behind the ideas, what, cigars, how they're made, how they're rolled, the different types of them, and we'll take you in and show you how they're cut, what the different cuts are, and how to light them the right way. So that way, if you want to get into it or you're not uncomfortable with what you want to get started with, you have somebody here who knows what they're doing, who can help you walk through that process, which is what happened for me a few months ago, actually. So we'll go through, and so what are we looking at right here?
This is the humidor. This is where the cigars are stored. The ideal of or how to maintain the humidity, the freshness of your cigar, you actually have to store it in a humidor. Some people have glass top or desktop humidors. Some people have humidors as you see here, larger humidors. Some people have chests, and even at larger retail stores, you have the walk-in humidor. In the actual humidor itself, you have a humidifier that actually pumps humidity throughout the humidor to make sure, once again, that the sticks stay fresh. You also have to make sure that it maintains a certain temperature as well. So the ideal temperature is 72 degrees, and the humidity level is usually 72%. So 72 ideal is 72 over 72 to maintain the freshness of the cigar. And the reason being, usually when they actually make the cigar at the manufacturer, that temperature that they're aiming for is that 72% humidity, and it usually takes years to actually once you ferment from the fermentation process to the stacking process. This takes, like I said, a number of years, usually the average 3 to 6 years.
So these sticks in here, you're saying it takes on years to get this done the right way?
To get this product, it usually takes, and sometimes some manufacturers and some companies, usually they sometimes go beyond that. You get some sticks that are aged at 9 years and even sometimes 12 years to once again, to get the product to the levels or to get the tobacco to where it
9 years for about an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Absolutely.
That's insane.
Absolutely.
That's commitment. Okay, so let's start with the basics. Like I said, for me, I was not a smoker, but I know what a cigarette is. I know what weed is.
Absolutely.
Right? What is a cigar? Like, what is all?
And so the anatomy of the cigar, you have the filler, of the actual cigar. The filler is usually a short filler or a long filler. Once again, that's compressed tobacco that they actually compress. They take one leaf and continue to compress it. Then they put a binder around that to hold the filler together, and then to finalize the actual cigar itself, they take one wrapper and they wrap around the actual body of the cigar, and then after they put the wrapper on, they cap it off. Then you have a cap, and there's a number of different type of caps that you have. You can either have a pyramid cap, they have pigtail caps, or you just have the rounded cap, just really depending on what type of cigar they're actually aiming for. And then we have once again, it's a very, very intricate process. And once again, there's different lengths to cigar. You have a cigar that is short as 4 inches, and then you have a cigar that's as long as 7.5 inches. So once again, depending on how long you want to actually burn your cigar, the good cushion or the good meeting or the middle ground for it is usually a Robusto. A Robusto is usually 5 inches, so right in between 4 to 7.
Okay.
You got right in the middle of the road.
A little sweet spot.
Yeah.
So we'll do that later. We'll go through and showing how to cut cigars. We have some different tips, right?
Absolutely.
So we'll go through that. We'll show that later. Flavoring, right? So we talked about that. You talk about smoking a cigar, and they have different smells and stuff like that. I've been here where people smoke different cigars, and they have different feels to different smells. How do they get their flavor? Is it a natural thing? Is it like you can create? How do you?
Not when it comes to the actual natural. So you got infused cigars, and infused cigars are actually infused with natural sweeteners. So everything about a cigar is all natural. So there's nothing artificial, no toxins as you find in cigarettes, and even some of the vaping pens. You have a lot of the stuff that people really frown upon.
Yeah.
Not to. I want to be completely transparent. Cigars, you don't inhale a cigar, but there are some of the same risks when it comes to smoking in general.
Okay.
Right? Okay. Even though you don't inhale a cigar, you still have a risk of possibly getting cancer in the mouth or in the throat, right?
Yeah.
Because once again, it is nicotine in a cigar, right?
I got you.
So there is still those same risks that you have when smoking anything in reference to a cigar, vape pen, or cigarette.
And that's a good point because my first time smoking anything was a cigar here a few months ago.
Yeah.
And one of the things that appeals to me is the idea that you didn't inhale, so
Right.
that it lowers the risk of. But you do that, like you said, there is still some negatives involved to it, but it is a relaxing thing that I've come to enjoy. But that's a big transparency is important.
Yeah, and I think it's very important for anybody that's smoking a cigar to know exactly what's actually in the cigar, right?
Yep.
Once again, you asked the question about where do the flavors come from in a non-infused cigar. It really depends on what type of cigar you're smoking.
So you said non-infused. So non-infused is just like the natural flavors of whatever's in there.
Exactly.
And then infused would be
infused would be once again you got
creating the flavors.
Yeah, you got so once again the infused cigar are natural sweeteners that are usually on the outside of you get maybe 70 to 80% of the flavors that you taste from the wrapper of the cigar, not the filler, not the binder. You may sometimes get a binder that they throw on there to make the cigar more complex. But for the most part, maybe I said 75 to 80% of the flavors you taste are on the wrapper. Okay? And so it just really depends on what region or what type of wrapper you have. You have Connecticut broadleaf, which are usually lighter in shade. You have your Maduros that are darker in shade. You have your Oscars, which is a complete black, dark wrapper. You have.
So does that correlate with the flavoring?
With
right?
The flavor,
so like
right?
the darker it is, might have either stronger, like a chocolatey, or does it just depend? Or
it does depend, because you may have a Maduro that it may not be as intense. Usually when you go to the more darker, traditionally you go to a darker shade wrapper, it usually becomes a fuller body cigar, right?
Okay.
So you have so if we're talking about range, is usually mild is the mildest cigar.
Yep.
You got medium, right, and then you have medium to full, right there
You're towing the line to see how.
Right, medium to full, and then you have the complete full body cigar. And once again, that's your stronger, and it really so the flavors, the things that a lot of people describe as, well, I can taste, I can taste cocoa, I can taste caramel, I can taste cedar, and all those things that people describe when they smoke a cigar. It's all subjective. A lot of times it's what your palate has taste. Things that, say for instance, you like black licorice, and say some people like black licorice. Yeah. Some people could sit there and eat black licorice,
which is insane. That's a whole different conversation. Right? That's crazy.
Some of the same things are described as you'll have a person say, well, this cigar tastes like limestone, and
what does that even taste like?
I've never heard limestone or barnyard or leather or peppery. All those things. Once again, if your palate enjoys that, or if your palate has been exposed to those environments, that's what you taste. Right.
That's insane.
So if I was raised in maybe maybe on a farm, my natural senses has smelled that before, and maybe I can pull some of those from the actual cigar itself. So a lot of the regions, so we're talking about regions that dominate the industry right now. You got Nicaragua, Ecuador, Dominican Republic, and even here in the United States, Connecticut makes a Connecticut broadleaf. Okay. Right? So then you got, they're dominant regions when it comes to cigar making. But for the most part, right now, Nicaragua is where it is. Yeah. It's like the number one region right now. But then everybody knows about the Cuban cigar, right? Yeah. Right.
As somebody who had never smoked it, you've heard of Cubans, and you watch certain movies, and I was like, this is a Cuban or whatever it might be. Like that's the one that everybody knows. If you're not into cigars, you at least heard of a Cuban cigar.
Yeah. It's the world-renowned Cuban cigar. I think the Cuban cigars became very high in demand when the embargo was set by President Kennedy. And so when the embargo was set, we were the number one import of Cuban cigars, the United States was. And so when the embargo was set, Cuba had to find ways to either A, take that Cuban seed and take it to a different region, or B, find ways to continue to make profit. So what they did is they turned their soil and then they start producing or manufacturing like bananas, and they had to find other ways to make money because once again, the Cuban cigar wasn't there. Well, they continue. But once again, the Cuban leaf wrapper, it stayed afloat for a number of years after embargo.
Really?
They probably had enough cigars to maintain for a good 10 to 15 years after, and then
it's like we went out of I got you. I got you.
So the Cuban cigar is one that you hear people told or brag about all the time. But.
So when you're thinking about that, talking about the quality of a cigar, right? Like you don't have the biggest selection. You're really picky with what you have in here, right?
Absolutely.
So what would you consider what are the signs of a high quality cigar, infused or non-infused? Just as a high quality cigar, what do you look for to put something in your humidor?
You would really have to pay attention to the market. Also pay attention to and listen to your customer. Mm-hmm. Once again, I don't have to use a selection by any means, but my guest, my consumer, is usually what sells, what's high demand is usually what I try to.
Well, I can speak to that myself. Like I said, my first experience smoking anything was a cigar with you a few months ago, and I tried it. I like the infused, and me and my friends come in here. We come in here every Friday. If you want to catch us every Friday night, we here. Usually listen to blues, talking about usually LeBron and Mike, something along those types of things. So feel free to join us if you want. But I had a Tabak, and I liked it in the infused cigars, and so we talked about the different kinds. Yeah. And then you got another infused, so we tried that. That was great. Well, then you started getting the different things. So I've seen you add and subtract based on what people are doing, that type of stuff. So like you said, your consumer drives what's in here.
Absolutely.
Right? So you listen to them.
Yeah. So without a shadow of a doubt, and then you get like yearly ratings of cigars. So you got Cigar Aficionados, which. And just about anybody that's probably smoked for a number of years. So Cigar Aficionado puts out the top 25 cigars every year based on their ratings. It usually drives the market as well.
I gotcha.
So you put out a top 25, everybody's going to be
like, hey, I read about this.
I want this.
Yeah,
I want this. It'll be very high at demand. So I try to get some of those sticks in here as well. But usually I just, once again, pay attention to my members. My members drive a lot of, or sway me into sometimes getting different brands and different sticks in here as well.
So before I want to get to the idea of the stereotype between infused and non-infused, right? So we talk about that. But then, there's what makes a stick so rare. Like there was one time that you had when you posted, and then you had like maybe 12 or 24 of them, but it was like, this is a limited time, it's limited, they only made a certain amount of them. Describe what that, why somebody would do that. Like, just like putting out Jordans. Yeah. And you know people are going to buy it, but why would you only put out so many? So why do they limit their...
Some companies or some manufacturers sometimes do a yearly release or a very limited release of so you'll have a maybe 6 to 9 year tobacco that they usually just sit on, so they release it a limited production. So what I had in here was a Oliva Series V. So they just have a limited release, and it's something that they do annually. So once again, just to make the I guess almost like the limited, almost like the exclusive exclusivity of knowing that I'm only putting 6,000 of this, something for the consumer to look forward to. Yeah. And once again,
and that one moved fast, but
it moved very fast. So you have boxes that have 10 count, and then you sometimes have boxes that have up to 50. But once again, it usually speaks to the quality of the actual stick you're smoking. So if you see a box with just 10 in it, 9 times out of 10, it's probably a stick that is very high quality. And then you have some manufacturers as well. They only produce for 6 months and shut their factory down for 6 months. Once again, so the crop can mature, and then they can go back to making their sticks. So one to speak that I know that does that is LFD. They do the 6 months on, 6 months off. just to make sure not only that their workers aren't getting fatigued and getting overworked, but also to make sure that their crop can mature and they can put out those quality sticks.
Well, and this is a high-end a hobby to have, right?
Absolutely.
So people who are to do this are okay paying the dollar for the quality, right? So as soon as you get something, you're like, okay, this isn't it, you're probably done forever. So you need to make sure that you have your A+ game the entire time.
Absolutely, and they say that they say smoking cigars is not a poor man's habit.
right.
So yeah, I mean, my average cigar usually is priced between $9 to $18 per stick. So yeah, it's definitely
we talk. Well, and we'll get about that when we do our interview.
For sure.
But then the biggest thing I want to talk about, like for somebody like me, like we talked about getting into smoking, infused versus non-infused, right? The difference we kind of alluded to a little bit. If you want to explain a little bit more about it, but talk about the stereotype of for if you get into smoking cigars, like there's a stigma that comes with infused. Whether it's right or wrong doesn't matter, but there's kind of like explain that.
And so for cigar smokers, I think more or less it's usually where you start with is usually where you then this is not always the case, but for the most part, smokers that have been smoking for years, they probably were never introduced to an infused cigar, right?
Yeah.
You're thinking about older men that have probably been smoking for 30 plus years.
Right. You probably jumped right into the deep end or introduced something else.
But when you're talking about 30, 40 years ago, infused cigars weren't as popular either. They've become more popular. The demand has gone up for infused cigars. But you're talking about older men that haven't been smoking for that long. So you'll get them trying to criticize or more or less like, I smoke that and I just don't. It's usually what you're introduced to.
Yeah.
When it comes to anything, you're talking about drinking bourbon or drinking what they call a girly drink.
I got you.
At the end of the day, you usually what you start
with is what you
It's usually 90% of the time, not always. Some people have diversified palates, but for the most part, what you're introduced to is usually what you stick to. And then like you said, you have people trying to poke holes or criticize the people that smoke infused cigars. But guess what? The infused cigar industry right now, it's very high demand. A lot of these sticks that I have in here from Deadwood are they're very hard to keep in my humidor, and it's very hard because a lot of that company in particular, Deadwood is actually manufactured by Drew Estate. They're continuing to pump these out because they're very high demand and they're selling, so somebody's buying them.
Yeah, exactly. I am. But one of the things that kind of shocked me before we get into the cuts and getting the cigars lit and how to do that the right way. One of the things that shocked me was I was here having a cigar and you suggested having a certain drink with that cigar.
Yeah.
So there are drinks that pair with certain things or certain flavors like that. How did you learn that? And two, how do those things kind of correlate? Because that's an interesting thing. I never really had that thought process.
Because once again, a lot of what you get, what your palate distinct or pulls from a cigar, it comes from the wrapper. And so with that, sometimes you find more natural tone cigars where, like I said, you get some of the peppers, you get some of the cocoa undertones, you get some of the more fuller. And so with that, with everything that you pull from the cigar, you think when you're drinking maybe a bourbon, you're drinking maybe a sweet tea, or you're drinking coffee, you are once again you're taking it in, and so some people like black coffee, right? Mm-hmm. It's just because, once again, they prefer that, right? Some people like sweeter coffee. So a lot of times I try to think, because I've actually experienced it, and I've maybe been drinking a coffee and I may have won a lighter shade or cigar. A lot of the pairing goes with what the distinctive flavors that you pull from the cigar. So, like I said, you might want to go with a milder cigar when you're drinking a coffee, but if you're drinking a bourbon, which it has, once again, alcohol content in it, you may want to go with a fuller body cigar that pairs well. Like I have a one right here, a Nicaraguan Camacho, is aged in a rum barrel for 6 months. You think rum barrel, cedar, all those.
You do, I don't.
Right? No, right?
Yeah, but you're right.
But a person that's smoking a cigar that was aged in a rum barrel, they probably want to go with something that in a rum barrel.
Yeah.
I may want to drink rum. I may want to drink whiskey.
Yeah.
Because once again, those profiles will complement what you're drinking.
So, was this something that you just picked up from doing it? Because we'll talk about it again. How you've been around and tried, and you've been to different lounges. You do these different things. Like, did you pick that up?
So I've probably been smoking for about 10 to 12 years, and I did. Once again, you have to exercise your palate. I can't sell something to somebody if I. That's one thing I won't do.
Yeah. So do you smoke when smoke? Have you tried everything?
I've smoked everything that's in this. Among probably hundreds of others. But I've smoked everything because once again, I want to. If I have a consumer, if I have a guest come in and they're looking for something, if they're searching for something that they smoked in the past, I want to try to point them in the right direction.
Exactly.
Right? I'll try to give something that complements that stick or is even better than that stick. So a lot of times you'll have some guests come in that may be like, I want a Davidoff. I don't carry Davidoff, which is I have cigars that are manufactured by Davidoff. Aviol is manufactured by Davidoff. Camacho is manufactured by Davidoff. So I have something that's going to complement. I try to have something that's going to complement whatever you probably had in the past. Is what I try to aim for when it comes to my selection and trying to point people in the right direction. I've probably smoked just about everything in here.
It's been fun. Like I've been here multiple times hearing you explain to people whether it's their first time, 15th time, stuff like that. Being able to have that knowledge makes everybody feel more comfortable. Like I said for myself, when I was the first time smoking anything, you was easy like, hey, probably gonna start from the infused to do it this way, but you have that knowledge makes whoever it is feel more comfortable. Like, okay, whatever he's pointing me in the right direction. Now, whether I like it or not is on my taste palette or is on my palate. Yep. But everything he's telling me, I know there's a knowledge and an education behind it that helps that make sense.
For sure. And it's funny because I had a guest come in last night and he was like, I know what I'm searching for, but I'm a novice. I'm a beginner. And so I spent a good maybe 20-25 minutes breaking it down to him, and you could tell he walked away with a little bit, because it came in a little hesitant, but he walked away with a sense of comfort and a sense of relief, like, okay, it's okay not to know.
Exactly.
But it's more important to ask questions when you don't.
Well, and that's the thing, if you're going to come out to a cigar lounge, you come out here and you expect it to be people have been smoking cigars for years and years on end, right? So it's going to be that, and it's not necessarily always that, right? It's some people it's a new experience,
right?
Some people it's being around friends while they're smoking and watching a game or listening to some music, whatever it might be. That's how it was for us. Right. But it can be intimidating, right? This is some type of infused, non-infused, Nicaraguan, Avio, Tabacs, all that. And so when you come in and you don't know, it's like, hey, I don't want to go and have somebody like, hey, just go ahead and try this, right? Yeah. You ask them questions. What are the things you like to do? What do you like to foods, drinks, whatever it might be, and it helps navigate those decisions when you go forward. So that's always been impressive with me doing that, seeing you kind of how you handle that.
For sure.
Before we get to the cutting and the different types of cuts and the lights and how to light it the right way and explain that whole thing, is there anything that you think is important for anybody who sees this video to understand about cigars or that you would like them to know, whether it's erasing the stereotype, information-wise, whatever it might be? What's the last little lesson you think?
So the last thing I want to, most people, for like you said, the beginners, a lot of people don't know not to inhale. That's one of the number one things that I think that if you haven't smoked before, you're interested, you're intrigued with, probably trying it out. One of the number one things is don't inhale the cigar. And the other thing, it's not limited or it's not just for men. Yeah. Right? And that's one thing I definitely want to try to steer, like you said, a lot of those stereotypes, a lot of those misconceptions that it's just for men. Because in the southern states, you'll have the sister of the leaf is something, it's SOTL. Yeah. You'll hear that, or you'll see the hashtag sometimes. It's very, very, like, the women drive
really?
A lot of the lounges down south. Like, you'll see them in lounge sometimes more than you'll see some of the men on
That's crazy.
Particular nights. But yeah, it's definitely not, it may be a male-dominated industry or a male-dominated culture, but it's definitely not just for men by any means. And I welcome women in here just as much as I want women in here just as much as men, because once again, it's a thing of leisure. It's a thing of relaxation, and sometimes some of the women are more stressed than the men. So I want women to relax just as much as I want men to relax and be able to let their guard down and lose track of time by just enjoying the stick.
Like it's about the experience. We talk about that all the time.
Absolutely.
Like this is smoking a cigar. You can do that anywhere, but at the cigar lounge, at the Heir Cigar Lounge, it's about having that kind of sitting down, decompressing, relaxing, laughing and joking, watching the TV, watching a sporting event, having a drink, listening, whatever it might be. Like this is the one stop shop for that. So with that being said, I appreciate the information on this. We're gonna take a quick break, and then break down how to cut, light, and smoke a cigar.
Absolutely.
So what we're going to do right now is we're going to break down to some of the differences in cigars, like the different tips, the different foots, the different cuts, and then how to light a cigar the right way. So I'll let Amp describe the 3 cigars that we have that we're going to enjoy today, and he'll kind of break down the differences in them and what they have going on.
All right, so we got 2 infused cigars here. We got the Sweet Jane. Once again, the Sweet Jane is made by Deadwood. And then we have Crazy Alice.
Yes, sir.
And then we have just a normal Oliva. A Toro of Oliva. And so if you look at these cigars, they're all different lengths, right? So this is a Robusto. But the diameter of this Robusto is probably about a good 44 inches, right? So so when you're talking about the measurements or the diameter of the cigar, so a 5-inch by 44, right? So the diameter of the cigar is 44, right? But so it's a 5 by 44.
Okay.
Right?
Is that pretty average?
Yeah, so that's right. So once again, that Robusto is usually right in the middle between, you got 4, some even 3, up to 7.5 inches is usually the lengths of the cigar. And then you got this little short Crazy Alice here, which is a 4 by 54.
Yeah.
And the reason why it's a 4 by 54 is 4 inches, but at the base of it or the foot of the cigar, you got 54.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you got the Toro here, which is 6 inches and maybe by 50 or 52. Just really depends on, once again, how round the cigar is.
Okay. And so you look at these 2 infused cigars have different tips, right? Mm-hmm. Can you explain why they are?
It just really depends. I mean, a lot of the companies want to give that very distinguished look.
Yeah, you'll never forget that.
You got it's more of a pyramid, right?
Yeah.
You got a pyramid with a half pigtail on the top. Once again, it's just to give it a very distinctive look. But the traditional, you'll have a perfecto, which is it'll have like a coned shape at the bottom, and then it may have that pyramid at the top. Okay. So once again, a lot of companies go with different cuts or different lengths or of the structure or the body of the cigar. Like this one has a closed foot.
Yeah, so that one's different than this one. Like that one has it looks like is it a wrapper, like a closed wrapper at the end?
Yeah, so you got the wrapper at the end, and instead of where they have here, where it's like a perfect ending to it, foot of the cigar, they just took the rest of that the rest of that wrapper and wrapped it and closed it. Once again, they do that. Once again, companies or the manufacturers do that once again to give it that distinctive look. The exclusivity of what
you gotta separate
saying.
yourself somehow,
some way, right?
I got you.
And so you have all that, right? And so before you smoke the cigar, right? So once again, you got the cap of the cigar, like the cap on your head, and you put the cap on your head. Then you got the foot of the cigar, right? Then you got the body of the cigar. And then you have the band, of course, right?
Okay, so with the band, right? Mm-hmm. So there's some that have bands on the end. Is it just for show? And then with this one, what is the band? Besides obviously your logo, what does the band do? Is it like you smoke to that point, or you keep it together?
So exactly, you just said it home. So the band helps with holding the wrapper of the cigar together.
Okay.
It aids. It definitely doesn't hold it. Some people take it off early.
This one hasn't. That one.
It's already gone, right? So, but once again, it aids with holding the wrapper on. But sometimes they have gamma, is what they call it, the glue that they have on the band. Sometimes it gets on the wrapper. So sometimes if somebody takes the wrapper off early, it may tear the wrapper, right?
I got you.
And once you either tear that wrapper or once it's broken, you'll find, now squeeze that cigar. Okay. Does it give you good, is it spongy?
I mean, it got a little bit to it.
Right. Yeah. So when you give that, when you squeeze the cigar, and it doesn't crack on you, you know that it's being at its proper humidity levels.
Okay.
Once again, the reason why we put it at that humidity level so it can stay, so it can give you that give, right? Yeah. If you squeeze a dried out cigar, guess what it's going to do? That wrapper's going to crack. Okay. Right? Anytime you cut a cigar and it's starting to crack, it's because, once again, it's not being properly maintained in the humidor. So once again, before you smoke a cigar, you got to do something to it, right? Because once again, that cap is completely closed. And I've seen some people cut the wrong end.
There was an NFL player who did that. I forgot. Maybe Jamal. They made the playoffs, and he lit it and he smoked it, and there was a big thing. So I talk about how he lit the wrong end of the cigar.
So he got the foot of the cigar in his mouth, and the cap is pointed out, and he lit the cap. Yeah, absolutely. So before you smoke a cigar, you absolutely have to cut the cap. There's different techniques or different ways that people prefer. You have a punch. This is a punch. That is it's a blade, right? And so a lot of people take the punch, and it takes out a part of the actual cap. It takes out a little, I guess like a little, maybe like a little H or a little hole. Yeah. It's actual little hole that it pulls out a piece of the cap or part of the filler, so you can actually draw. Right? That's not saying that it's not I wouldn't say a very popular. Some people prefer it. It's probably not the most highly, a lot of people aren't coming here like, let me get that.
Yeah.
It's usually, a lot of people use this punch if you have a more, a diameter is very, very, very round. Okay. And you can only, like these can only probably cut maybe the 6x60. Yeah. Right? Yeah. It's only so round that it can only cut so many cigars. But you get some cigars that are very, very round.
You have one of those to box that's
very
huge,
round, right? So or you get some box press cigars, which actually are boxed, right? That you can't cut because, once again, it's a rounded. These cutters are only round.
I got you.
So if I have a box press cigar that I can't cut in the actual
punch,
some people prefer the punch. Okay. You said you have people cutting it off with. You got some people that cut. Some people that bite it off, like the Clean Wood style. They completely bite it off. See, people use like knives. It's really based on your preference, so. But I can show you how to cut it. Then once again, you got the V cut. The V. Okay. All right. It cuts it cuts a V out of the cap. Then you got the guillotine. It's also considered the straight cut, right?
What are the different cuts help you get out of it? More or less, like I said, the V lets you get less, more controlled.
So I usually compare it to like a chimney, right? Okay. When you close the lever or whatever you want to.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the actual phrase is. Right? I get what you're saying.
So you close the chimney. So if you want more fire or more heat, you'll open up the chimney so more air can flow through, right? So you'll once again the cuts are usually determines what type of burn you're going to get from it. And also, some people go with the punch or the V because you can sometimes, if you go to the straight cut, you can sometimes get that filler in your mouth. Yep. If you go with the straight cut, because now the filler is completely exposed. If you go with the straight cut,
I got
you. If you go with a V cut, it's V. You're not going. You may get some filler in your mouth, but you're not going to get as much. Yeah. But once again, a lot of that is really the cuts determine the actual flow or the burn of the cigar.
I got you.
So once again, it's really based on preference. So.
Okay, so let's go through. What do you have in your hand right now?
This is the Sweet Jane.
Okay, so let's go ahead and
we'll cut the Robusto. Right? Okay. Once again, my preference is the V cut. I've tried all the cuts, and it's just something, once again, with my preference. Yeah. But there's a few things that you want to also keep in mind when you're cutting the cigar. Each cigar, sometimes you'll have 3 caps on the cigar. This cigar actually has 2 caps. So you got a cap there, and then you got another cap right below it.
I got you.
So when you go to cut the cigar, you want to, with the V cut, it's kind of almost hard not to. So if you go with a straight cut, you want to cut in between the 2 caps. Because what happens if you cut the cap too low, if you cut below and you go down here, the wrapper of the cigar is going to start unraveling on you because it has nothing. The cap holds the wrapper.
Yeah, I got you.
The band, once again, the band aids, but the cap is really what holds the wrapper together, right? So once again, I'll go with the straight cut. I'll go with the straight cut once again, just to show where your aiming point is when you cut that cigar. Gotcha. So it's in between the two. So we would probably say that's safe. Once again, we're in between the two caps, so that's the right safe place. And cut it. Right, so we're still above that cap, right?
Yep.
Where now we can go ahead and light the cigar. We can go ahead and light it.
So lighting the cigar,
and so before you just go ahead and light the cigar, there's a few different techniques or a few things that you want to do. You want to toast the foot of the cigar, right? So it's a pre-burn before you actually draw. Okay. So you toast the foot of the cigar. Is what the proper definition is toasting it. You want to get it nice and cherry red. You don't want to shove your torch or your lighter directly into the cigar. You want to give it a good maybe 4 to 5 inches at a 45-degree angle and get it nice. And so you want to toast it. You want to start on the outer end of the cigar and work your way in.
So stay around the outer
edges, and then work your way in while you also are rotating it at the same time.
Okay.
All right. So when we get nice and cherry red, almost there. All right. We're nice and cherry red. Put it to your lips. Once again, safe distance away, 45 degrees.
Take a couple heavy draws, kind of help.
Take a look at it. Make sure that you are, once again, you're even. Your burn is even.
Okay.
And then you smoke it.
That's it. Okay, so, all right. So you talk about burn being even, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you go through and you smoke that cigar, right? How do you keep it even the whole way through as you're taking? Like, so how long in between do you take drags? Okay. And then how do you keep the burn even?
Really good question. So a lot of people. Once again, if you haven't smoked a cigar before, they think they have to rush through the cigar.
That was me.
Right? You're drawing every 10 to 15 seconds.
Yeah.
So cigar smoking is once again supposed to be a thing of leisure. You're supposed to relax, right? You can sometimes just let your cigar rest, right? Once again, with that cigar, there's no artificial toxins or anything other than nicotine that's in that cigar, right? So versus you have a cigarette, you light a cigarette, that thing is just burning all the way through. You don't even got to draw it. It may catch your ashtray on fire. Right. But once again, you go every 60 to 90 seconds is when you draw. Okay. That's the sweet spot. Every 60 to 90 seconds, and it will go out on you, like you mentioned. Yeah. Unlike a cigarette or a black and out or things of that nature, where it'll burn without you even drawing it. It will eventually go out because once again, it's just tobacco. It's just tobacco in there. 60 to 90 seconds is what you aim for. Was there another question you asked?
So was that, and then how do you keep the burn?
Oh, so the cool of the burn, you want to shoot for a nice cool burn. You'll start seeing, like even right now, I'm starting to form an ash on the end, right? Yeah. And so you want a nice white, long ash, meaning that it's not burning too hot, right? Now, how do you keep it even?
Yeah, you're talking about keeping the burn even,
right? Yeah. So as you actually draw it, you want to rotate it as well.
Okay, so you take a draw, kind of rotate as you're doing it. Yep, I got you. Okay. And then, as far as ashing goes, do you keep the ash so do you keep it there, or do you just let it burn?
Once again, you want everything just to happen naturally. You don't want to. You shouldn't have to ash it, right?
I got you.
You don't want to ash it. Once again, you want a nice cool burn. You want that ash to be maybe. You seen some of the cigars? You've seen some of the 5-inch ashes.
I'm even to the point where you've been there. And
from start to all the way to the band.
Yeah,
I call it band burning. Right? But once again, the ash is going to fall off naturally. Yeah. If you feel like it's about to fall off or it looks like it's about to fall on your shirt and stuff like that, it comes with the territory.
Yeah, it almost happened here. It's touched around the smoke one, and you kind of lean or go the wrong way. It does.
No big deal.
No big deal. It's just what happens.
It comes with the territory. People try to apologize all the time. It's just ash.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll come off of the furniture floor, sweep it up, whatever it may be. But if you feel like the ash is about to fall, what you want to do is take the cigar and just rub it on the end very gently on the ashtray and see if it falls off. If it doesn't fall off, if it's still very stiff and it doesn't want to fall off, just allow it. Just allow it to be.
I got you.
A lot of times you'll draw it and then it seems like it's about to fall off, and once again, it'll just fall off naturally. Right? And you want that, once again, the longer the ash, the cooler the burn.
Yeah.
So it's burning just how it should burn versus you, like I said, drawing every 10 to 15 seconds. Let it rest, draw. Like I said, every 60 to 90 seconds.
I got you.
So what you want to shoot for.
All right, man. I think that covers it. Walk us through how the different cuts, the different types of cuts, the different tips, foots. Show us how to light it. Should we do it the right way? That was it, man. We've talked about it. We've done our interview. We've done the breakdown of the humidor, the different types of cigars. We showed you how to cut a cigar. That is the Heir Cigar Lounge in a nutshell. We are here at 9901 North Knoxville, same plaza as Brasky's. Come on down. He will have the hours posted on the YouTube channel and in the comments. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've loved seeing you grow with this, man. I've enjoyed it so much. Thank you for tuning in, and hopefully you come out here and try my boy Anthony Heir Sr.'s the Heir Cigar Lounge.
Yeah, like I said, come out, put one in the air. I also want to thank Antwaun Banks. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank 90.7, and also thank DJ Smooth, DJ Dynamite, Abafa, all the guys out at 90.7, Other Projects, Make Your Mark, all of it. We're going to continue to bid. We're going to continue to build upon this thing. Entrepreneurship, it's not for everybody, but it's definitely a very, very critical thing.
It's there. We're trying to give 309 some different looks, and we've done it with our youth programs, and you've done it now with giving Peoria, the Central Illinois area, its first cigar lounge, man. You're bringing the South to Peoria. It's a beautiful thing, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, most definitely.